This is the facelifted BMW X3, which thanks to it being a crossover SUV, has now become one of the brand's best-selling models in the Philippines. With new looks, updated tech, and excellent pricing, does the X3 still have what it takes to lead the compact luxury SUV segment? So this new BMW X3 competes with the likes of the Lexus NX, the Mercedes-Benz GLC, the Porsche Macan, Audi Q5, and other compact luxury crossover SUVs, no? So for the 2021 or 2022 model year, na-update yung BMW X3 and it was given a mid-cycle facelift. So this is the X3 xDrive 20D Business, the entry-level version. And so dito sa harap, you have a slightly updated grille. Medyo mas malaki siya compared sa pre-facelift but not outrageously big like in the X7 or the XM, the bespoke BMW M SUV, no? So you have this satin silver trim surrounding the grille. It's a whole one-piece thing. Di siya multiple parts. You also have LED headlights. New graphics, by the way, for this model year or for this mid-cycle update. Then you also have a new front bumper with a more rugged appearance, at least in this particular variant. You also have an M Sport version which looks sportier and more athletic. So, down the sides, you have 18-inch wheels. Quite small for me, in my opinion, sa kanyang itsura, sa kanyang katawan. But yeah, this is the entry-level version, so higher variants have bigger wheels, which I think look better for the X3. Then, this is pretty much unchanged. Sa kanang side profile, still the same window line, same satin faux silver skid plate sa baba. These are not functional vents, by the way, this is just pure aesthetic. And then, it's very traditional pa rin in terms of aesthetics for a BMW SUV. So, you have this Hofmeister kink pa rin dito sa kanang rear window line, which is a signature design trait of every BMW car. Then, out the back here, you have this very untraditional BMW LED taillights. So usually BMWs have L-shaped taillights, but here mukha siyang pincers ng lobsters, or kung nag-Valorant kayo, medyo kumukha nga niya yung sword ng Iron Bundle. So kung may nanonood man dito na nag-Valorant, good job on you guys na makaka-relate kayo sa akin.
You will not kill my ally!
Pasensya na,
What are you doing?
P80.
One enemy remaining.
Pero anyway, yeah, new tailgate design, or at least revised tailgate, and then you have that satin faux silver skid plate pa rin for this particular variant sa kanang rear bumper. So yeah, the changes are quite minor but they're noticeable and gives the BMW X3 a more aggressive if you're getting the M Sport, or more rugged if you're getting this particular variant. So yeah, the changes are very minimal but noticeable and still maintains the traditional aesthetic of BMW. So it's now a good time for us to talk about the interior of the facelifted BMW X3. So here inside the new BMW X3, and well, you're actually not gonna notice that much in terms of changes sa kanyang aesthetics. Let's talk about the fundamental design first. So yeah, it's not exactly what you would call as flashy or siguro the term would be stylish, like what you would probably say in something like a Mercedes-Benz GLC. I still prefer the interior of that car in terms of the special, I guess, na feel, no? But in terms of materials, I actually think that BMW does interiors better compared to the competition, Audi and Mercedes-Benz included. From the doors pa lang it feels very tank-like, yung kanang door sound, and of course, the materials are in soft touch plastics wherever you touch. And in terms of just how the interior feels, for me, mas robust ang pakiramdam ng mga interiors ng BMW compared to even the likes of Audi and Mercedes-Benz. So, in terms of features, you have a partly digital gauge cluster lang. It's not the Live Cockpit Professional fully digital gauges because this is the entry-level xDrive 20D Business nga, no? But iDrive 7 comes as standard across all models. But here in the case of the X3 xDrive 20D Business, yung kanyang infotainment screen is 10.25 inches ata, while the higher variants of the X3 have a 12-inch screen. Still, 10 inches is big enough for pretty much everyone, and it looks really great. iDrive 7 is one of my favorite infotainment systems in the overall industry. Graphics are sharp, it works really well, and I've driven the BMW iX with its iDrive 8 infotainment system, and I actually much prefer pa rin iDrive 7 solely because of the fact na meron pa rin siyang hard button. So every BMW that will adopt iDrive 8 nga lang will say goodbye to the physical control. So as ever with iDrive, you're controlling it via the touchscreen, or in my personal favorite, yung kind of rotary knob controller as what you would find in Mazdas as well. So you also have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and yeah, overall in terms of design and driving position rin, BMW is one of my favorites pa rin in the segment because they really do interiors so well. Especially in terms of driving position, they're really one of the best for me pa rin. In the overall segment, apart from Lexus, I like the driving position of Lexus cars. This is now, I guess, a good time to talk about the rear seats of the BMW X3. So now that we're here in the back of the BMW X3, and this seat, by the way, is in my driving position. So as for how it is in terms of space, it's pretty much on par with everyone else in the segment, no? So in terms of space, it's no different from, let's say, a Lexus NX. I think this is roomier than a Porsche Macan, pero compared to the rest, they're pretty much even naman in terms of rear seat space, no? So yeah, legroom's pretty good. Headroom's really good, by the way. It's really excellent because this doesn't have the panoramic sunroof that you would find in the iX3, by the way, the electric version of the X3. You also have a rear center armrest, which is pretty good always, and we pretty much expect that because this is a luxury car after all. Covered cup holders. You have your own climate then dito sa likod, by the way. You have 2 USB-C ports. And it's actually a pretty wide car. So in terms of space, the middle seat passenger wouldn't be fighting for shoulder room. And yeah, that's actually pretty much it in terms of the space of the BMW X3 here in the back seat. It's actually really good in terms of that aspect and also very practical, which is now a good time for me to move on to the trunk of the BMW X3. And then as for cargo space, the BMW X3 offers 550 liters behind the rear seats. Folding down the rear seats, on the other hand, gives you 1600 liters of space. In the iX3, however, expect a 40-liter drop in space across the board. And then as for engines, you can either get the 2-liter diesel that we have here, or the fully electric iX3 that replaces the inline-6. And if you wanna know more about the iX3, you can watch it by clicking the top right-hand corner of the screen. And so with that in mind, how does this diesel-fed BMW X3 feel like on the open road? So now that we've hit the road with the BMW X3, and you're gonna notice immediately is how this car is so refined. Well, that's what I would usually say naman talaga if I'm driving a luxury German car, no? So as usual with the BMW, yung cars nila have always been tuned to deliver a sporty driving experience. And here in these set of gentle curves and twisties, it still delivers on that aspect. You know, the rear wheel drive layout, the near 50-50 perfect weight distribution. It actually goes through corners in a way na when you adjust your throttle pa nga, though this is the all-wheel drive, pero when you adjust your throttle, you're able to somehow change the characteristics of how this car attacks corners. While the suspension is a bit on the comfort side yung tuning niya for this model, since this is not the M Sport, no? Usually ang mga BMWs have a firm suspension setup, pero here in the X3, I like the ride, ang ganda niya. Pero it still deals with body roll pretty well. Even if you push this car sa corners, maganda pa rin yung body control niya as typical with BMW. And since maganda ang suspension nito, nasa malambot siya compared to what you would usually be accustomed to with BMWs. So it's the best of both worlds basically, no? So you're able to have a comfortable crossover SUV, but at the same time, a sporty one at that. It's actually dealing with body roll pretty well, and that 8-speed automatic shuffles the gears excellently. Tapos, it's my favorite transmission talaga yung ZF 8-speed. It's one of my favorite transmissions in the industry. So, it's really telepathic in terms of how it delivers the gears. Like, it will always deliver the right gear at the right time, at the right moment. I'm loving this so much. And this car is hindi pa in sport mode. If you put it in sport mode, mas responsive pa lalo yung kanyang transmission. And then, in terms of yung kanyang steering, so steering in terms of yung response is very nice and it's really responsive, though not much on center as to the previous BMWs, no? It's still responsive. The more that you turn, it becomes more responsive. So, ibig sabihin yan is when you're going on straight highways, it's very stable. You don't need to do a lot of steering corrections. Pero as you turn more, it becomes more responsive. So, it makes it very easy to change your directions basically, no, if you're attacking corners. Yun nga lang, ang talagang main gripe ko with the steering though is in terms of feedback. So it's responsive, it's accurate, it's precise, typical BMW sporty steering. Yun nga lang, in terms of feel, that's where slowly nawawala yung feel ng mga newer and newer BMW. So That's the reason why this car feels more isolated. In terms of isolation pa nga, as for road and wind noise, it's really very quiet, no? Typical German car, or at least typical German luxury car, very quiet, very refined. Not a lot of road and wind noise permeates the cabin, though maybe a bit more wind noise compared to the X5 I drove last time. But other than that, it's very relaxing. Very solid structure, typical German car na ang ganda ng kaha. Ang ganda ng vibration absorption niya. So, hindi siya yung nag-shake yung katawan mo. Less sports sedan-ish yung feel. It's still sporty, but more isolated than before. So, it now offers a better balance between comfort and sportiness. So, in terms of sportiness talaga, if the BMW X3 still delivers, no? But if you really want what's the segment-defining experience talaga, that would be the Porsche Macan, no? The brakes, they're typical BMW. I like the brake feel. It's very firm. Maganda yung brake feel niya. So there's plenty of reassuring stopping power. And then now it's a good time to talk about its fuel economy. So as usual with all of my BMW reviews, I've always commended their fuel economy figure. So here, right now, we're doing 12.3 kilometers per liter. Still very fuel efficient. Talagang it's really one of BMW's strengths talaga ang fuel economy. And once we go to the highway later, mas lalong gaganda pa yung kanyang fuel economy figure, I'm pretty sure. So now out here sa highway, the BMW X3 drives really well pa rin, no? So as with every German car naman, or at least most German luxury cars as I've mentioned, sobrang tindi ng sound insulation nila palagi, and the X3 is no exception. So we're now traveling at triple-digit speeds, and again, sobrang maning-mani sa coaching ito yung takbo na to. It feels pretty much like 50 kph in fact. So in terms of refinement, kapantay naman niya yung mga Mercedes-Benz GLC, Audi Q5, Porsche Macan, but if there's one thing na medyo sablay sa akin sa Lexus, that would be, I mean, okay, stable naman and refined naman ang Lexus, pero I find the German cars pa rin to be a notch higher at high speed stability, no? So it's really down to the platform din kasi that the German cars use. Talagang their platforms are very intensive in sound insulation, aluminum pa nga oftentimes with these luxury brands, no? Lexus kasi yung kanilang platforms are shared with the Toyota, yung TNGA platform ng NX, no? So that's sort of a bit of a weakness for those cars pagdating sa refinement standpoint, no? I mean, they are refined, pero mas refined pa lalo itong mga German cars. And the comfy part is especially intriguing because usually mga BMWs have a firm suspension setup. Here in the X3, ang ganda ng suspension tuning niya. Stability is on another level, and even at triple-digit speeds, ang ganda pa rin ng hatak ng 2-liter diesel engine niya. This is one of my favorite engines period, by the way, no? Itong kanyang 2-liter diesel. Yun nga, because of the 8-speed automatic then that's made by ZF, one of my favorite transmissions in the industry. Yun nga, so the revs are kept low, so it just hums in the background yung kanyang diesel engine, and when you put your foot down, very responsive yung transmission niya. It responds really well, and the power delivery is very linear. Hindi siya yung lahat ng torque na sa low RPMs lang. It's spread out in most of the rev range yung kanyang hatak, which is always a good thing, especially in terms of overtaking, no? And now that we're here in the highway, ang kanyang fuel economy has boosted up even further. So now we're doing 15.2 kilometers per liter. Kanina sa city, we were doing around 12 km per liter. Fuel efficient figures regardless of how you view it. And remember when I said yung Peugeot 2008 was the most fuel efficient non-electrified car that I've ever driven? I think this car, itong X3 na 2-liter diesel na to, can somehow nail that din, yung fuel economy figure na yun. Talagang lumalaban din siya dun. And you have to remember that this is much more powerful than the Peugeot 2008, and also a lot more capable at high speeds, no? Yeah, that's pretty much it with the BMW X3. It's a refined car. It's very fuel efficient, very relaxing to drive on long distances. Yet at the same time, though now I think it's really defined by the Porsche Macan, yung fun to drive factor ng mga SUV sa segment na ito. But still, below the Macan, I would think that the BMW X3 is one of the fun to drive sporty SUVs pa rin. You know, it's always a good thing if you're able to balance out various factors, which is why the X3 is very popular in this segment in the first place, because it's able to be relaxing, practical, and still sporty and fun to drive pa rin to a certain degree. pricing for the BMW X3 starts at a little under 4 million pesos. And that gets to the base xDrive 20D business variant that we have here. But if you step up to the xDrive 20D Professional, you now get a few more kits such as 19-inch wheels, the Live Cockpit Professional fully digital gauges, a bigger 12.3-inch screen for the iDrive 7, among other additional features. Lastly, the fully electric iX3 M Sport comes with a level 2 home charger, adaptive LED headlights, a panoramic sunroof, adaptive M Sport suspension, a Harman Kardon sound system, along with the basic suite of advanced driver assistance features, namely automatic emergency braking, lane departure warning, lane keeping assist, but still no adaptive cruise control and blind spot warning. We do think, however, that these safety features should be offered as standard across all X3 variants, though at least the base xDrive 20D business gets automated parking as standard. So, should you still buy a BMW X3 in 2023? Well, if you want a compact luxury SUV that balances sportiness, luxury, and comfort, then the BMW X3 is still the class benchmark because it fulfills a lot of needs for a lot of people. But in order to achieve its price, it doesn't get any form of advanced driver assistance features until you step up to the iX3. Lack of driver assistance features aside, there's no doubt that the BMW X3 will continue to be one of the best sellers in its segment.